Okay, good morning. We are moving on to exercise 3 this morning for math. So, yesterday we looked at multiplying by 10, 100, or 1,000. And if you recall, we talked about the trick with if I have 48 times, as long as there's a 1 in my first digit, this number stays the same, so I can go ahead and write that over there. And I count how many zeros I have, and I move them to their new spot. So 2 zeros in that end means I need to have 2 zeros on this end. 48 times 100 equals 4,800. So today, let me get that out of the way. Today we are going to look at dividing with this same method. So we're going to look at dividing by 10, 100, and 1,000. So the same one rule, that identity rule there, applies with ones in division as well. So, technical difficulties. If I have 37 divided by 1, well, this question is asking me how many times does 1 go into 37? Well, it goes in 37 times. So anything divided by 1 is itself. So that is very similar to our rule when multiplying by 1. It's identical to our rule of multiplying by 1, that anything multiplied by 1 is itself. Anything divided by 1 is itself. So if I have 583 divided by 1, my answer is 583. So today we're going to look at division by tens, hundreds, and 1,000. And lucky for you, this same simple trick like we learned yesterday with adding our zeros works, but just in reverse. So what does that look like? So if I have 6,000, 6,480 divided by 10. And I look at this and I'm like, ugh, what do I do? Well, simple dimple, because I can use my same trick in reverse. Now, when we're multiplying, the numbers get bigger. Our answers get bigger when we multiply. When we divide, what do? They get smaller because we're taking this and we're breaking it into groups. So we're making our answers always smaller when we divide. So my same trick though, 6,480 divided by 10. I have a 1 as my first digit. So I take this here and I say, how many zeros are on it? There's 1 0. So I'm going to take my zeros away from both sides. And I'm left with 648. So 6,480 divided by 10 equals 648. I can check that using the method I learned yesterday. If I was to do the opposite of dividing, which is multiplying, 648 times 10, I have that 1 in the beginning, so I would leave my 648. Got 1 0 to add. 6,480. That checks out. So my simple dimple division rule is that, that's not what I want to do. My simple division rule there is that if I am dividing by 10, 100, or 1,000, I can take away however many zeros I have. So let's look at some more examples of that. Let's see if we can see the pattern just like we saw yesterday. So let's say 7,230 divided by 10. 7,200 and... Whoops, let's write that the right way, Miss Etnes. No, come on. Or if I have 723,000, what happens here? What is my pattern? What's this going to look like? 7,230 divided by 10. So this 1 tells me I can leave alone the beginning part, but it's dividing, so it's getting smaller. There's 1 0 on the end, so using my trick, I can take off 1 0. 7,230 divided by 10 equals 723. Moving to my next one, 72,300 divided by 10. Again, I'm not going to mess with my beginning numbers because of the 1, but I'm going to say there's 1 0 here. That means I can take 1 0 off this side. 7,230. Now, 723,000 divided by 10. Again, there's 1 0 on here, so that means I can take off 1 0 on this side. So my trick works in reverse. I can look at however many zeros I have on this side of my division symbol, and I can count it. If I have 1 0, I can take off 1 0, and that's my answer. Now let's look at if we had a bigger number here. Let's look at 723,000 divided by 100. My same trick applies. So I get to say, okay, I have 2 zeros, and it means I can take off 2 zeros from my number. And then I just need to write that as my answer. What if I have divided by 1,000? I'm going to use my same trick. I'm going to say, okay, 3 zeros. I can take off 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. That's what I'm left with. 723. So 723,000 divided by 1,000 equals 723. Again, if you are wanting to check it, always a great thing to check your work. You could come and take your answer and work in reverse here. Remembering what you learned yesterday, 723 times 1,000. And I would remember that my 1 tells me this stays the same, and I add my 3 zeros. So my answer checks out there. So you are going to be taking this trick and you're applying it in reverse. So you're counting how many zeros there are after your 1, and to divide by tens, hundreds, or thousands, you are essentially just cutting off however many zeros were after your 1. So if I'm dividing by 100, I'm cutting 2 zeros off my number. Let's look at one more thing here. Okay, so what about this in a word problem? Okay, I'm going to go buy some dogs. I'm going to go buy some pugs. Pugs are really expensive. The pugs are $1,000 each. I paid $36,000 total. How many pugs did I buy? And why the heck would I buy that many pugs? That might be the better question. So, the pugs were $1,000 each. I paid $36,000 and I want to know how many pugs I got. So I need to do 36,000 divided by 1,000 to figure out how many I got, because 36,000 is the total amount I paid. 1,000 is my price per pug. So dividing 36,000 by 1,000 will tell me how much I paid per pug, or how many pugs I got. I'm sorry. I'm going to use my trick. I'm dividing, so my number is getting smaller. It means I can cross off my zeros. I have 1, 2, 3 zeros on this problem, meaning I can cross off 1, 2, 3 zeros here, and I'm left with my answer. So for $36,000, how many pugs did I get? I got 36 pugs. That's about 36 too many. Okay, so in your workbooks today, a little practice on this. You are going to be working on, let's see, it is exercise 3. Whoops, that's right down here. Exercise 3, it is on page number 8. Let's see, it goes 8 through 10. And you are doing problems. Problems 1 through 8. Again, 7 and 8 are the challenges. I want you to try your best on those ones there. If you have questions on today's math lesson, please be ready with those questions to jump on our Zoom at 9:30 today. Thanks, guys.